What is up, everyone? Welcome in to your Celtics source, where the Boston Celtics have a 3-1 lead. And it was on some hard hat mentality. I mean, nothing has come easy for the Celtics in this series. You know, they've had to play hard, doing basically whatever it takes to win. And, I think this is going to help them in later rounds, especially against a team like the Thunder if they get to the finals. Um, but it the Magic, you know, they're a scrappy team, right? They're poor offensively. We've known this. But what they do on the defensive end, you know, getting rid of, basically the Celtics bench, taking away almost all 3-point attempts. The Celtics have never really had to play this way, and yet they're finding ways to win. No, you got to give some respect to the Magic for what they're, able to do, especially missing, some of their key guys who are out for the season, in Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner, um, and just their physicality has been frustrating to watch. You know, all series, the lack of whistles. Finally, Celtics got some calls in this one, um, out shooting the Magic, I think, by 14 or 15 free throws. The Magic, I mean, obviously they had a terrible uh, percentage from the line in general in this game, but just the Celtics' ability to get to the line when they knew their threes were not going to be the way to win this game. And I'm looking, or I want to start with what Jayson Tatum was able to do in this game, especially down the stretch after you know, the wrist injury, the other things that he's been dealing with, um, the lack of calls he's been getting with. His performance tonight was spectacular, right? He finishes the game with 37 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, um, shot 10 of 25 from the field, which is, an okay percentage for the playoffs. Sometimes in the playoffs, you just get rid of the shooting percentage. It doesn't really matter what you're shooting as long as you can make buckets when the game is close. That's all that really matters. There's a lot of, ISO basketball in the playoffs. That's just how it works. Um, but what was huge is he went 14 for 14 from the line, including 13 free throws in the second half, I think. Um, yeah, 13 of those 14 free throws uh, came in the second half. Just unbelievable. I think he had the one shot technical free throw in the first. Um, but he had 9 in the fourth quarter. So basically, when the Celtics couldn't get buckets the normal way, Jayson Tatum's just ability to go to the line and just get easy points on free throws with the clock stopped allowed the Celtics to maintain their close lead and then finally hit some big shots and seal the deal. Um, you know, Jayson Tatum basically throughout the fourth quarter was just absolutely clutch, right? 16 points in the fourth quarter out of his 37 for the game, 9 of those in the last 5 minutes of the game. Just incredible. Before Franz actually made that late layup to basically in garbage time with nothing left, Tatum had actually outscored the Magic 9-7 in that closing stretch. His aggressiveness, right? We talked about him going the line 7 times in that last 5 minutes of the game, taking advantage, especially of Wendell Carter Jr. and Paul Banchero, who are not probably their weakest defensive links on that team. They're still great defenders, but the best option for Jayson Tatum to go to, especially because they don't have a true center that Tatum can exploit. Um, the Celtics were like tied 91-91 before Tatum had sparked that 16-7 run to close the game. But right, Boston's offense ice cold in the second half in both of these games. Tatum was basically you know the answer. Just go to him, let him ISO, go to his fadeaway shots, which he was hitting at a consistent rate. I would say that's probably that like final step for Jayson Tatum. If he can have that like go-to shot, that go-to fadeaway shot, that's basically the difference between him being, a top 3 player in the league versus a top 5. I still have him 3 or 4, but like on most people's eyes, most people's list, that's what separates him. Just making those, fadeaway shots, his shot, consistently. Um, and Orlando's strategy was just, force Tatum and Brown to beat them one on one, right? They limited Tatum's playmaking, just 3 assists in this game. They stayed home on shooters. That's why Hauser and Pritchard haven't been performing well, and I'll talk about that in a second. But taking away passing lanes, Orlando prevented ball movement. It was just a lot of ISO ball, and the Celtics just have more guys that are capable of playing ISO basketball. I'm not saying that's the way to win other series. Other series they'll be allowed to take threes. I think it'll be actually easier for the Celtics to play their type of offense in against a series like the Knicks or even the Cavs. But that's how you have to play in this series. You just have to play some ISO ball, and Jayson Tatum can basically outscore Paul, which he did in this game. And the impact of Tatum scoring, just you know, if Orlando hadn't forced right Tatum to be more than a scorer, the Celtics would have had a much easier way pulling away, like I just said. Right, Tatum had to adjust to the scoring rather than distributing, because he's become one of those guys that is okay being I wouldn't say a pass first guy, but he's okay giving up the ball, letting his teammates go. This season he's been averaging much closer to a triple double than in previous seasons. Right, he finished the season with, I believe, like 9 rebounds and like 6 assists. Whereas in previous season he's only been around the 4 assist mark. But I want to move on to Al Horford, because this game was not won without what Al Horford does. And I'm going to say this right now. Al Horford and Jimmy Butler are the 2 guys that just flip a switch from the regular season to the playoffs. Al Horford at age 39 is doing some Jimmy Butler type things, and it's not the scoring, because they don't need him to score, quite frankly. Would it be nice if he could hit a couple threes? Sure, but Al Horford, the defense, that's basic. I would say the difference between Al Horford and Porzingis, or like a reason why you would play Al Horford over Porzingis, is the defense, right? Kristaps Porzingis gets attacked a lot on mismatches by some smaller guards. They can put him, get him dancing around. But Al Horford, at age 39, is able to stay in front of these guards, and it's just incredible to watch, right? He blocked, he had 5 blocks in this game. He blocked a shot with like 6 seconds left on the shot clock, right in front of the Celtics bench. The bench got up crazy, almost got a T for delay a game. Multiple blocks in the paint, making it really hard for Paul Banchero and Franz Wagner to get their type of shots. And then his elite hustle and just all the intangibles that he brings, right? The offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter to give the Celtics extra possessions when they're struggling to shoot. The Magic didn't have that many offensive possessions, and so even if you're shooting a poor percentage like the Celtics were, just that every one of those extra chances just increases your chances of making a key bucket. He picked up Corey Joseph full court sometimes. His energy was just off the charts. And then you get some of the things that like don't show up on the on the stat sheet, right? Joe Mazzulla praised him after the game, saying, you need a separate stat sheet for all the hustle plays that he makes. They don't show up in the box score. You have some of those things like diving on the floor. Even the things like fighting little fights for other teammates, right? When Tatum was getting knocked to the ground on some, questionable no foul calls, when Jaylen Brown got ripped to the ground, all that, those questionable calls that they've been letting go, the reason why so many guys are hurt in this series for the Celtics. Al Horford has been sticking up, getting into other guys' faces. He picked up a tech late in the game for defending an inbound pass all the way outside of the court, right? You have to have both feet inside the court, which, but he did that to stop, a open three from Franz Wagner. He took the risk that, even if it's one shot, it's better than having Franz with the chance of making three from the corner. So just, his quick thinking and his ability to, read the game and see what is more valuable, the three or the one free throw, was just huge. Just right, I talked about this ultimate competitor, just constantly making winning plays, demonstrating toughness, physicality. He was probably one of the most physical guys on the court for the Celtics, and he's 39 years old, just incredible. But this series, the reason why it is as close as it is the bench, right? The Celtics bench, consists of Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett mostly. Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard are both three-point shooters. That's what they do. They come on and they shoot threes. Peyton Pritchard can do a little bit more, but for mostly, when you have a team that has absolutely taken away the three, it makes sense that these two are going to struggle offensively, right? And I think, you're not going to see a type of defense like this until OKC in the finals. So I think in other series, Pritchard and Hauser will start to get going again. Pritchard was okay defensively. He had some great stops on Paul Banchero late in the game. He also he did have one, I think, rough. I believe it was a foul that he got just a little too close to Paulo as he was shooting. But other than that, both of them were not bad defensively. Sam Hauser finally knocked down some big threes for the Celtics. Played a series high for him, 18 minutes. But and then Luke Cornett, right? Like, because the way the Magic are playing, he isn't able to get involved. And I think he'll play well against New York, which, just a ridiculous no call on Tim Hardaway Jr. But I am saying the Knicks are going to win. It's pretty much guaranteed. Not quite, but I think they're going to close it out at home. But upcoming games, right? Celtics have Game 5 on Tuesday night. I won't do a live post-game show right after it, just because of the late start. If it is a series win for the Celtics, we'll do both a recap of the series Wednesday, and then late that night we will also do a series 2, a round 2 against the Knicks. I'm presuming playoff preview. If the Knicks lose, the Pistons go on to hold out for another game. We won't do a preview right then, but basically, just hoping that the Celtics continue from this win to close it out at home. We can't have any more injuries going on, right? All the more reason you gotta close this out. Jrue Holiday's hurt right now. Brown, Tatum, Horford need all the rest they can get before round 2. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Follow on social media for highlights, news, scores, all of that from all series long, all season long, until the Celtics win the final, and then obviously we'll have stuff in the summer as well. But until next time, go Celtics.
It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured.